This is the Grow Your Clinic podcast from Clinic Mastery. We help progressive health professionals to lead inspired teams, transform client experiences, and build clinics for good. Now, it's time to grow your clinic.
Welcome back to another episode of the Grow Your Clinic podcast. My name is Jack O'Brien, your host, and right from the top, if you need to get in touch with us, want to get some show notes from this episode or any of the links that we mention, you can head to clinicmastery.com/podcast and everything will be there for you. Now, today we are continuing our clinic owner spotlights, shining a light on clinic owners who are doing phenomenal jobs. And today, I'm really excited. I got another guest to join me here today, and I can't wait to unpack her story around her personal growth, her leadership, decision-making, how she's navigated COVID, leases, all the fun things. Rebecca Healey, welcome to the Grow Your Clinic podcast. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Jack. I'm pretty excited to be here, actually.
It's an esteemed platform. You're amongst the elite now.
I've made it.
That's right. Now, for those unfamiliar, Beck is the founder and director of Your Foot Doctor up in the beautiful winery regions of South Australia. Now, we're going to get into the story of Your Foot Doctor and the Barossa and all sorts of things. But before we do, as usual, I've got a couple of icebreakers. Are you ready?
I sure am.
Okay, number one, what are you reading or learning right now?
Well, I'm an audiobook reader.
Okay.
And I managed to get to 1.7 speed, so that's not too bad. Profit First, Mike the Motorbike. Mike McAllowitz. Yeah. That's actually changed the way that we manage our cash flow and our money this year. And I'm actually seeing profits in our bank account now. And I don't have to wait till the end of the year. It's really nice. I used to wait and go, have we made a profit? Have we made a profit? And now I actually can see every quarter that that profit is there. It's waiting for us to either do something with it or take it, go on a holiday.
Love it. It helps you sleep at night, right?
Oh, it definitely does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the zombie apocalypse account, that's Andy Wang's term, I think.
It is.
Yeah, that zombie apocalypse account is slowly getting there. We're still quite there yet, but having that account and enough working capital for 3 months is good.
It's huge. Yeah, Mike McAllowitz, Profit First. He was a guest on the podcast a number of episodes ago, and as much as
it's a great podcast, that one.
We don't get into clinic ownership to be, multi-millionaires. Profit matters, and money does enable us to have the freedom that we want, and it's a great reflection of the impact that we make and means that we can be sustainable. So that's awesome. Now, Number two, who inspires you?
Probably my mum. Yeah, she's amazing. So my mum overcame quite an adversity when I was a teenager. Dad's business went down in the recession we had to have in 91, and Dad kind of had a bit of breakdown and left. And Mum had a huge amount of debt, 3 teenage daughters at private schools in Sydney. And as you can imagine, it was very expensive over there. And my mum worked really hard to overcome that and to support us girls and to make sure that that didn't impact us as much as it could have. So, yeah, she's amazing. She's great. I think her parents also were really supportive during that time. I was very lucky. I grew up in an area in Sydney where it's quite affluent and we had everything we needed, but we were also taught that there were people who didn't have quite so much, and we were taught that we needed to give back and to provide for others and be socially aware. So
love it. And it's gone the whole way around. Yeah, you're a clinic for good.
We are a clinic for good.
So good. Number 3, what did you want to be growing up?
I wanted to be a lawyer and a hairdresser, but mostly a lawyer. Yeah, interesting, because I really, really don't like doing my hair. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go with that. But, the lawyer, I can talk underwater, but I really avoid conflict and I don't like arguing with people. Yeah, really not a good profession for me. So I'm pretty glad I didn't do that.
Nice. And finally, what's a motto that you live by?
I've actually got 2.
Hit me.
So my first one is fucking fierce. So I've had
Love
some
it.
stuff happen in my life where I just go, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a soap opera. But yeah, I think you got to be really fierce to be able to pick yourself up and keep going. And I think that's true of anybody who faces some adversity.
Sure.
I'm a very fierce feminist,
Mhm.
and I'm very much independent person, sometimes to my own detriment.
Right.
And my second motto is I can and I will. Watch me.
Mm.
So those people who tell you can't, or that's too hard, or that's too risky, it's not always the case. I can and I have, and I'm already here. Watch me.
It's funny, Becca. I get to hear these mottos often, and when for me, because I obviously know you in the backstory, and you go, oh yeah, I can see that motto being played out over time.
Very much so.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so let's dive into the journey. We'll connect the dots from the young teenager who thought she wanted to be a lawyer, who ends up choosing podiatry. What's the story there?
Well, I actually didn't know I wanted to be a podiatrist until I went to a podiatrist.
Okay.
And that was halfway through year 12. And that was right in the middle of losing the house and business and dealing with mum and dad. So, I actually took a year off school because I didn't get the grades that I needed for podiatry. And I actually hadn't studied the right subjects either because there was prerequisites in Sydney at that time. So I went, there were bridging courses. Mm-hmm. So I thought, no, this is what I really want to do. So I went back and studied while I was working full time and did chemistry, physics, maths, and biology. Mm-hmm. And I had to come in the top 5% of the state to be able to get into podiatry. And I worked my ass off and did it. Yeah.
And what was it about podiatry? I mean, cutting out ingrown toenails and fungus is probably not everyone's cup of tea. What was it about podiatry?
It was actually a couple of things. I think the instant gratification, the instant, oh, thank you, I'm out of pain, when somebody stands up, you've sorted out their pain from a corn, but also how complex the foot is and how much it is the foundation of our health. We're standing on it every single day, and the complexities are integral to how we work. Yeah. So, yeah, I still love it. It's 24 years, Jack.
You still love it. And that's awesome.
I do. Yeah. I am the foot doctor, and I think I'll always be the foot doctor. But yeah, I love podiatry. I love being able to go from being in my room consulting and doing something easy like corns, calluses, ingrown toenails, to toenail surgery or complex biomechanics. I really enjoy that. I can go and lock myself in the shed and make orthotics. It's so different and varied that it's not boring. It's never boring.
Never boring.
Although actually it was boring once.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I was probably into year 10 of being a podiatrist. Mm-hmm. I'd actually done lots of different things. I worked with the flying doctors when I first graduated. So I'd fly into Whyalla, which is in country South Australia, and jump on a flying doctor's plane and go out to all sorts of really cool places. Worked with Indigenous communities, worked in nursing homes, worked in rural, and worked in the city. So I'd done quite a few things, and I was bored. I was really bored.
Doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah. And I think because back at that time, continuing education wasn't pushed as much. And I was a young mum. Mm-hmm. And I was really struggling to fit that in between my kids. So I had to actually change how I thought about podiatry and study some more and learn. So learning more biomechanics, exercise prescription, mobilizing techniques. And that's when I started getting the clients that I liked, the ones who were interesting and fun and difficult. So, yeah.
Okay, nice. So let's shift and let's start talking about some of the business stuff. Tell us about your, I know one mentor of mine calls it the entrepreneurial seizure. When did you realize I'm going to open a clinic, I'm going to call it Your Foot Doctor, and up in the beautiful Barossa? What happened there?
Well, I actually was living in the Barossa and I still am. And there wasn't really anywhere I wanted to work up here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to work for somebody else up here. So I started my own clinic in a little town called Kunda, where I was living at the time, right next door to the chemist. So it was pretty dingy, but it was a great place. I still have clients from those days, and a couple of them have reminded me this week. Right. Do you remember where you first started? So yeah, I do actually. So that's why I decided to do it. It also gave me some flexibility with my kids. So I have 3 children, and they're 21, 18 and 14 now. So they're a lot older. My son has autism and he's very high functioning, but he was a difficult, but also challenging, I think, challenging child for a while, and he needed me a lot. So being able to set my own hours and take holidays with my kids was really important. So I was a sole trader for a long time because of that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, and fast forward to a couple of years ago, say 2 years ago, what did the clinic look like 2 years ago, and then what does it look like now?
Okay, so 2 years ago we had one other podiatrist and myself and 2 admin, and we were going along okay. We were probably breaking even most years rather than making much of a profit. Okay. And of course, like most clinic owners, I was paying myself less than I should have. Less than I earned down in the city, I can tell you now. Yeah. But I actually value that time. It gave time with my kids, and I think it gave me time to stop and rest and enjoy a clinic before I then decided I need to do more.
Sure. Yeah. And that's right. It's a sustainability piece and a timing piece. So what's the last 2 years look like for you?
Well, the last 18 months has been insane. So we're at crossroads with our clinic now. We're just to move our clinic into a new space, which we're negotiating at the moment. We currently have 3 podiatrists. We have a dietitian who leases the room off us, and we have 4 admin. One's on maternity leave. Yeah. So those are all part-time admin, and so at the moment, that's what we are, but we're looking to increase by at least 1 more podiatrist, and we're going to be opening a space that we're going to call the studio, which will have a gym kind of space area for exercise physiologists, because, we really like working with EPs, and we'd like to do that in a space that's quiet and enjoyable for our clients. So that's where we're heading towards.
Yeah, it's 18 months, 2 years. So
yeah,
we were talking off air, and you said you've been on this kind of leadership, personal development journey for a while. But what was the penny drop? What changed 18 months, 2 years ago?
Dan and I have been colleagues for a long time, and I've known him for a while, and I count him as a friend. And I rang and actually spoke to you in the November, or it was a few years ago. And we had a good chat, and I really did want to do some with my mentoring. And I really just couldn't see how I was going to do that with the practice breaking even. And I was worried about making the commitment and failing to meet my part of the commitment.
Sure.
And then I rang Dan in the January and had another chat. And I think because of the fact that Dan and I knew each other fairly well, he just said to me, "Hey, Beck, do you really want to be feeling like this in a year's time?" And I just went, "Oh God, no, I do not want to feel like this." And then Dan just bought the cost of mentoring. And it's really important to talk about the cost of mentoring, because it is something that we need to pay for. It's a skill and it is valuable. I think we need to not be afraid of the cost of mentoring, and being able to break that down to how many clients I would need to see extra to pay for that. We worked out that was going to be 1 set of orthotics a week.
Sure.
And I'm like, rightio, I can do that.
Yeah.
And so I said to Dan, sign me up in 6 weeks' time. I'll have the first slot of money put away. And so I did. So it was that I don't want to feel like this in a year's time. I don't want to feel like I'm drowning or I'm working constantly for very little gain.
And I reckon there's a lot of clinic owners who would resonate with that. And they think, it's hard to make a leap, but it's painful to make a leap. But it's more painful to stay where I am. Like you couldn't conceive being in the same position in 1, 2, 4 years' time. So why stay?
I think I'd be in a hole in the ground if I kept doing that. Yeah. It was very tiring and daily exhaustion. And look, I'm tired now, but it's a different kind of tired. There's an excitement behind it and a vision behind it. So I know where I'm going. I don't have a worry about being tired now.
And that's one of the things that I've observed in you is that shift in vision, in purpose, and going, I'm going to hustle, and like you put so many things into place because there's a real driver behind it. You know that why and that desire statement. So run us through some of the things that have changed at your foot doctor over the last couple of years.
Huge amount has changed.
Okay.
I think the very first thing that we put in place was patient management plans.
Okay.
And I've always prided myself on making sure that my clients get the best experience when they walk through the door. And it was a little bit of an eye-opener to see that we could actually improve on that because we felt pretty good about what we were doing.
Right. I think
we did.
You don't know what you don't know sometimes.
No. And to watch the reaction of our clients who had been here before, because we decided anybody with a new issue who was coming through the door also received a management plan. So they walked out with a diagnosis, a prognosis, how long is it going to take to get better, what we're going to be doing about it, and their goals, and clearly how often are they going to come and visit us. Because often the clients are coming in week after week and they don't know why they're here. Right. Why are we doing this? And why are we here for 6 visits?
And you know,
we know, but we're not really great at explaining that. And, clients really only take about 30% in of what you say to them in a consult. Mm-hmm. So having that on a piece of paper and handing it over to them made a massive difference to how they felt about coming back in and following that plan.
Okay.
And that alone increased our income so that our mentoring with Clinic Mastery paid for itself in 3 months.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, right?
No.
I'm interested in 2 elements to that. But first, How did you go with your team and drilling this system down into the team?
Actually, the team was at the time were 2 a podiatrists who'd been out for 3 years and had been started with us as a new grad, and the other podiatrist had 12 years experience, and it was hard for them. I'll be honest. And the podiatrist who came in at 12 years, she's an amazing podiatrist. We love her. And she'd been in a place where I think she'd worked in the one place for about 11 years. So those systems become ingrained and really hard to change. I actually valued her honesty and her coming to me and saying, I'm concerned, I'm really worried about this. How do I do this? And I don't feel comfortable with that wording. And I actually really value that in a team member because I want to know that. Mm-hmm. And hey, if you're thinking that, maybe our client is too. So let's change it. Mm-hmm. So changing that has been amazing. I think the person who's picked it up the quickest and the easiest was our new grad. She walked in here and followed our procedures exceptionally well. Mm-hmm. Had a full mentoring program set out for her. But to her credit, she's picked it up and run with it.
That's awesome.
So that's probably the easiest for her.
Right. It's interesting, isn't it? You've had a couple of new grads come through. What's different about your clinic and how you treat new grads now?
Oh, yes. Actually, when our podiatrist who'd started as a new grad with us left, I was like, I'm so sorry. I wish I knew this when I started with you because I can see that you're seeing what I'm doing and it's so different. And he was great. He said, look, you didn't know. So it has changed considerably. When I first employed a new grad, I did the mentoring kind of thing. Oh, yes, you'll be mentored. And we'd get together ad hoc. It wasn't set in stone, and he would come in and shadow me. I'd come in with him. We had fairly open communication, but there really wasn't that structured mentoring. So now we have a very structured mentoring document where, we use the Clinic Mastery 0 to 100 plan, and we follow that very closely. And we stretch it out a bit more than 100 days though, because there's a lot in it. Yeah, there's a huge amount in it. We had one-on-one 10 minutes in the afternoon every single day with the new grad for the first couple of months, 2 to 3 months. One-on-one mentoring every Friday for 40 minutes, and a one-on-one monthly mentoring meeting, as well as fortnightly practitioner meetings with all the practitioners. And that has made massive difference.
So run me through that difference. We've touched on management plans and induction, and I know you've got a whole bunch of systems and processes in Asana. You've talked about some financial management with Profit First.
Yeah.
When you look back and reflect on all the things that you've put in place, what does that mean for you? What's the impact on you?
So I'm still tired, but it's a different tired. I think for me, I'm really clear on my goal now. I know what I want. I know down to the amount of money I want to be in my bank account every year. I know what I want to do with that money. I know how much money I need to save for different things within my clinic. All my practitioners' entitlements are put aside. I'm not worried about that. We're slowly getting our zombie apocalypse account together. We'd started that like the week before COVID.
Wow.
I just went, seriously? I already started. Can you just give me some time? But I tell you what, Jack, we made some big decisions about costings and about team and where we were putting our resources. They were hard decisions, but those decisions meant that we could actually save some money, which we put aside. And now that we know we need to move, we have that money aside. So I think for me, the positive of COVID will far outweighs the negative.
Well, let's talk about COVID. What are some of the decisions or processes that you've had to go through that, looking back, you're really proud of or have been highlights through COVID?
Well, when we first got to, oh my God, we're going to have to shut down, I sat down and looked at my numbers. So what did we need each week to actually survive through this? And Barossa was actually a hotspot very early on. We were one of the first hotspots. So our area shut down very, very quickly. We made this decision together, the team and I, to stay here and be here for our clients. And we sat down together and I was really honest with them with how much money we had and how long we could survive on full pay.
Sure.
How much time we could survive on one person working if we had to. So my team were incredible. They took a pay cut and a cut in hours, and we were exceptionally lucky in South Australia. We ended up, the clinic shrank to about 3 days a week, only for about 3 weeks.
Sure.
And then we picked it up again. The difference, I think, for me was that we had really clear avenues out of that.
Right.
Because we'd been working to increase our client load, reduce our cancellations, increase our PVA, we already knew how to do that.
Sure.
So my team, I said to them, hey, look, we've done this. We did this over the last year. We can do this again. The processes are already in place. All of the documentation's there. We just have to pick it up and run with it. So we now bring in probably about $3,000 to $4,000 a week more than we did before COVID, and with the same team.
That's awesome. Yep. And it's oftentimes you don't realize the precepts that you're building and the brick upon brick over time until it's really shaken, right? And then you go, well, we can build this again, and you've built it stronger than before, which is phenomenal. In that decision-making process, and you as a leader, What did you learn, or what are you proud of as you look back on the last couple of months?
I learned a lot. I learned that my team were really there for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud of them. And they had our clients' interests first and foremost. How can we be here for them? What can we do? Can I make some phone calls just to see that this person's okay? Absolutely. These guys were incredible, and it just gives me goosebumps to talk about it, because that's what we're here for. We're here for our clients, and we want our clients to feel like we're family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think through COVID, being able to reassure my team and then my team reassure our clients really just made a massive difference to people's health in this area. One of the things that I learned myself is that while I'm open and able to communicate, by the end of, probably the end of June, I was really tired and I needed to take time off. And one of the things that we let slip was our monthly mentoring meetings.
Okay.
They are really important.
In what way?
I actually had my admin team actually had a reduction in hours, and I thought I'd explained why we were doing that, and I thought I was being sensitive to their needs and how they were feeling, but I hadn't put time aside to spend with them separately to understand exactly how they were feeling. So it really took nearly 2 months for me to understand that they weren't feeling really happy about it and weren't feeling valued. So those monthly mentoring meetings have started back up, and they are really, really important. So I don't ever want my team to feel that they aren't valued again, because while I was feeling really proud of them and really happy, they were feeling not valued. So it's really important to keep those communication levels constant and booked into the diary. Because if they're not there and you let them go, you can start having some problems.
It's a critical one, yeah, especially in a clinic where your people are your product. We can only do what we do because of our team. Beck, if you were to think about a clinic owner who is in your shoes from 18 months, 2 years ago, they're thinking, I've got a small clinic, I'm kind of breaking even, I want more, but I don't know how to do it. Like, what's your advice to clinic owners that are listening in?
Well, I have been through a mentoring program before. So before I came to Clinic Mastery, I had done one before. And look, that gave me the foundation. We don't learn any of this stuff at university. We learn to fix feet. Mm-hmm. And honestly, we don't even learn how to interact with people very well. So, yeah, I think finding yourself a mentor who fits with you. The difference for me with Clinic Mastery was it was not about me and the money. It was about my clients. And as a practitioner, that's really important for me. I don't want to make millions and millions of dollars. I want to help as many people as I can. And I nearly ran myself into the ground trying to do that. But I now know that if I have more clinicians and I mentor them well, we are helping more people. Those clinicians can actually then grow and become mentors themselves. And that just grows exponentially. So you're leaving a legacy that is helping the community so much more than you just being on your own and squirreling away. I think taking that step and taking that plunge to go, no, I don't want to feel like this next year. Just get that first month's worth of mentoring money aside. Know how many clients do you need to see to get that? And put it away. Read Profit First, because he talked about the fact that if you've got all your money sitting in there in one pot, it's all sitting there. Oh, look, there's money there. Let's spend it on this and that. But if you're actually putting that money away in a separate bank account, you're not going to touch it. You don't have that in your budget or your mind. And having that first month's worth of money, you're going to be able to do the second month really easily because you already did the first. During that first month, you're going to learn a lot. And then you can build it up.
Love it. Really good advice. Hey, Beck, if people wanted to check out your clinic, your journey, or maybe get in touch with you personally, what's the best way for us to do that?
Well, you can check the clinic out on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm really proud of my team this week. They've put a few posts up themselves, even the ones who are a little bit scared of social media. It's great. And you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can have a look at our clinic at yourfootdoctor.com.au.
Super. And listeners, we'll grab all those handles and links and put them over in the show notes at clinicmastery.com/podcast. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, websites, all of them will be over there. Hey, Beck, this has been awesome. Really appreciate your vulnerability and sharing your story. And no doubt it will inspire and equip other clinic owners out there. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jack. It's been a pleasure.
And listeners, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you entrusting 30 to 40 minutes of your time with us. We hope that's been useful, and let us know what you think. Head over to clinicmastery.com/podcast and get in touch with us. Leave us a review on your player of choice, or get in touch if you need help to assess your clinic or grow your clinic. We're absolutely here to help. Other than that, I can't wait to bring you another episode of the Grow Your Clinic podcast again really soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Grow Your Clinic podcast. To find out more about past episodes or how we can help you, head to www.clinicmastery.com/podcast, and please remember to rate and review us on your podcast player of choice. See you on the next episode.